just took one. Uh-oh.
Can you believe it is week 4 at Starbridge, aka a month of Diaries, where I am bringing y'all along for the ride on my startup journey. Went for a little mental health walk today, my work from home day. Sorry, it's super windy because it's fake spring in New York City, where we have like one rogue 55-degree day, so you've got to soak it up while you get it, because it's going to be a harsh reality next week when it's 20 degrees again. So I just wanted to sit and pop on and do a little bit of reflecting from this past week. Some things that stood out to me this week. There were some high highs, some low lows, and let's get into it. Another observation of working in person and going into the office: when I'm taking calls out in the open, in the room instead of the phone booth, people can obviously listen in, hear what I'm saying. And there were 2 distinct calls this week where I was chatting with prospects, and Justin, our CEO, overheard me and like came over into the frame, and I'm like, oh, and there's our CEO right now. And he popped into these calls. It was amazing because he was able to sort of like assist in that talk track of what was happening in the conversation. But the funniest part to me was that I have my AirPods in when I'm doing these calls, and so he has to take one of my AirPods and like put them in his ear, and I'll insert clip here. And then we were just taking this call together with my AirPods, and I just thought it was the most amazing thing. I can't even imagine from a prospect's perspective, like what that must have been like. It's like chaotic, genuine, building something startup life. Another in-office happening from this week was one of our investors stopped by, and that was a really cool experience for me. I'm like, oh, you're the guy that chose to invest in us? Like, that's pretty sick. I've never met an investor before, so I felt really lucky to learn from him what he's seeing in the market, what he's hearing right now in K-12. There's a lot of talk around budgets being frozen in higher ed, the political climate, the current administration. There's just a lot of like freeze happening when it comes to new spend, and we're trying to help companies win more contracts in government and education. So it's just a really interesting climate right now. It was good to learn from his perspective, the companies he's working with in the portfolio and what he's seeing. I felt, really grateful to be able to pick his brain, meet him, make the connection. So let's talk about some lows. I had this one deal that I've been working on, and I think I've had like 3 or 4 demo conversations with different stakeholder groups at this company. Not gonna lie, I thought I had this in the bag. I thought they were so excited, so on board, and then I got a tip earlier this week that they might not be making a decision right now. As someone in sales, when you are riding the high, they're seeing the value and it just makes so much sense, and you think you got this deal in the bag, and then something comes out of left field and thwarts that whole plan, it is gut-wrenching. And it was my first one at Starbridge where the outcome was just not what I was expecting, because all the signs pointed to this being like a done deal. Unfortunately, it happens where it's not a no, it's just a not right now. And that's okay. It actually gave me a really good pause for reflection with my boss, Matt, where we got to sit for a minute and understand, like, maybe I just need to slow things down a little bit. And ask myself the question, like, what is the risk associated with this deal? Why wouldn't they want to buy right now? What would prevent them from moving forward? Because I'm a glass half full kind of gal. I don't know if you could see from these diaries. Like, I am always looking at the glass half full. But it was really grounding for Matt to offer that perspective and say, hey, just take a step out of the deal. I know you want to win. I know you're an achiever. But let's think about any risk associated and how can we mitigate that risk, and just bring it up in the conversation. Like, hey, I noticed you're increasing headcount. It must be stressful time, a lot of change management, bringing new folks on board. Is that a concern in moving forward with this technology purchase? And just addressing it. And I'm like, wow, just calling it like it is. Groundbreaking. Why haven't I thought of that? Why? So now I'm going to be a lot more diligent about assessing risk as a salesperson too. It's helpful to bring that up, and it kind of gives you that status of like you're a trusted advisor. You're not just looking for your own best interest of how you're going to close this quarter or what your pipeline looks like. You actually care about what's going on in your prospect's company and how this affects them. And that's the kind of seller that I strive to be and always have been. So I think the go of startup and building and all this excitement and being in the office and being surrounded by it, like sometimes I get a little lost and I need to just snap back into it, take a breath, and realize like everything's going to be okay. We could take it slow. Yeah, definitely a really nice week of lessons learned and being able to pause and reflect and share this with y'all who might be watching. I feel really lucky, and I'm excited to see what March brings at Starbridge. Oh, also, I signed a contract this week. Pumped to bring new folks on board and see how they use the tool and light up like I did when I first got introduced to it. Until next week, no special guests this week because I'm filming this in Brooklyn, not in the office, but chat again soon. Bye.